All right, next up, Pooh. We looked at your tweets and you controversially like Nas. It was written better than Illmatic, and this is the Get On Down clear vinyl reissue. So I got to hear this. You said Street Dreams is a cut. We're gonna play that, but I want to hear the argument of why this is your favorite Nas album.
Man, ain't no argument for me. Nah, I mean, for me, the way this album was put together, for me, it just, although I love Illmatic, make no mistake about it. It's just this album. It took, for me, it put Nas in another category for me. It was like, the Illmatic was like underground success story. It was, young kid do well, but this just showed like his elevation and from the production to how the songs were structured to his content. His content was always me. This album just really spoke to me. I can vividly remember riding on my bike around where I grew up in Reston, Virginia. Well, I was in high school at the time, Reston, Virginia, and just playing this album on tape, on the Walkman, just riding around, just countless hours, just letting the auto reverse flip back and forth. And it was just this album, man. I don't, people they want to assassinate my musical character because I do pick this album over Illmatic, but I mean, not saying Illmatic isn't great, it is, but this is the last of the best Nas albums right here for me.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Nas, It Was Written is almost like his Love Sexy, right? It's like, depending on how you see it, it's either, how they would say Love Sexy, and I know Warren, like you get it. It's like either that's the last of the good ones or it's the first of the bad ones. You know what I mean? Depending on how you see it. But with It Was Written, man, that was a record that, I understood in time. At the time when it came out, I was just like, because it dropped on the same day as Stakes Is High. And that was that, that to me was like, if you ever want to look at, the moment of kind of civil war, so to speak, in hip hop, that was it. Because if you got into those at that point, those are two albums that dropped from two well-respected artists on the same day, and they had, very divergent sounds. And depending on which one you got into, like if you liked It Was Written, then that led you further down the road of like Rough Riders, Rockefeller, you know what I mean? If you were into Stakes Is High, that led you more towards Raucous, towards Slum, towards hip hop site, no pun intended, you know what I mean? It led you to that. And so that was kind of the start of a divide, for me. And you almost kind of had to damn near pick a side, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so with Nas, It Was Written, I was like, all right, this is cool. But now later on, I totally understand why he had to make that record, because had he not made it, he would have just been another, early 90s MC. Yeah, he could have been Mike Geronimo or Curious, you know what I'm saying?
Or Big L.
Right.
Big L, yeah, totally. And I mean, and all respect to them, but but his trajectory could have been different. And the interesting thing about this, like with this remix, I didn't even notice until we had Steve Stout on QLS, like it was like a year or so ago, and I didn't notice it until he said, I was like, damn. So he was like, man, with that Street Jeans remix with R. Kelly, he said, that is what we wanted to get that out first so that we could beat Big to the punch, because Big did Fucking You Tonight.
Right.
And that record did nothing, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, damn, you right. Like the Street Jeans remix did, it killed it. You know what I mean? The R. Kelly feature. Yeah, like I was like, damn, it's Fuck You Tonight. That was a mean record. I mean, it wasn't gonna get no radio play, but that shit was a mean record. And yeah, man, the remix kind of killed that. And Steve brought that up, and I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, a couple of points I'll touch on. Fucking You Tonight has a bizarre line where R. Kelly says, "B.I.G.
bring that ass to me."
Whoa.
and then it's interesting about Stakes Is High, man, is that like I look at that as like the last album of the golden era of hip hop because it pretty much was like the turning point where like this is the last time. I mean, even De La got a little more open to making commercial records post Stakes is High. So
yeah,
I feel like Stakes is High is that point where everything just stopped. It was like, all right, this is the last statement on a major label about the state of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like the rules are done, all that stuff that you're not supposed to do in terms of like, you know, making commercial records or what you talk about, etc. All that shit's out the window now. And I feel like that was the last statement that was made at the expense of a label. Go ahead.
I think what Fonte said, like, nail on the head as far as, you know, the dividing line. And with, you go Rockefeller with Nas, you go more Far Side or
Raucous,
you know, and both paths were good, but to lend to what Pooh was saying about this being the best Nas album, or better, not best, but better than, you know, his first, I think the main thing with this album is there was more commercial song structure, there were hooks, there was, you know, it was, you know, it was more, it was a more of a developed,
it was songwriting.
Album. Yeah, it was songwriting. It was a developed album, and like Fonte had brought up, is you know, you have to develop as an artist, you know, and you have to move forward, and kind of like, and you see an obvious example of this is, you know, De La. With De La's album, you have to grow as an artist, and I think that I hear what Pooh's saying about Nas. I'm not necessarily agreeing with you.
No. It's like staying on this table.
I'm not necessarily agreeing with you on that.
I know this brother. Me and this brother go back 20 years. This has been a hill he has been ready to die on for the past 2 decades.
I will say,
there's no getting him off this hill.
I will say the message with the Sting sample is probably my favorite Nas song.
That was the one for me, because when I heard that, I was like, hell yeah. Because the thing with If I Ruled the World, and we even talked about this like when we had Steve on Cure Less, it was one of those records, it kind of put me in the mind frame of like Sunshine by Jay-Z and like Pizzo. I know like y'all get this, where you have all the ingredients that on paper, it sounds like, okay, this is hip hop. Like, I mean, if you look at I Ruled the World, I mean, listen, you got Lauren singing the hook.
Yeah.
And if you just look at the song on paper, we got Lauren singing the hook, who at that time, everyone loved Lauren. She could do no wrong. Right. You got, you know, a Houdini sample.
Right.
You got a Curtis Blow interpolation. Yeah. So on paper, it's like, this is the most hip hop thing ever. And then you hear the song and it's like, but not like that.
Yeah.
but it gets the dance floor.
Well, you know, from I was
and like Sunshine was the same thing. Like Sunshine by Jay-Z. You got the Rockin' It sample. You got, you know what I mean, all that, but it's just it didn't come together right.
Yeah.
And for the record, Sunshine was way more cringeworthy.
True, absolutely.
I love the Fearless 4 sample though. On that, I was a huge that sample was the Rockin' It sample.
Yeah, the Rockin' It.
But I hear you. Yeah. I'm not gonna.
And then you got Babyface on the hook singing a Jam and Lewis song. I'm like,
right.
That was rough. It was rough.
All right, there it is. Nas, It Was Written.